This is Garis, Masculist, MGTOW flyers, that is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW. This is flyer number 298, entitled An Email Exchange Between a Masculist and a Male Feminist Campus Magazine Editor. Description. This flyer consists of an exchange of 3 emails between me, the Masculist, and the sole male editor, with 3 female co-editors, of Melbourne University's student monthly magazine. I was knocked back, as you will see. As my parting shot, I warned him not to have kids, otherwise he will be playing Russian roulette with only 4 chambers in the barrel. Hopefully this exchange will be enlightening to some male feminists who know nothing about masculist ideas. The flyer itself. Wonderful Enet speed of Australia compared to what I had in China. I click on it and it comes up instantly. An email exchange between a masculist and a male feminist campus magazine editor by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. The following 3 emails were an exchange between me, the masculist, and the only male editor, with 3 female co-editors, of Melbourne University's student magazine that comes out monthly for the whole student body to read. I was trying to launch masculist thinking in Australia after having lived 12 years in China, where my masculist talents were utterly wasted in the Chinese political shithole, where no private, non-government approved organisations exist. China doesn't even have a feminist movement, let alone a masculist movement, but then Chinese men don't get financially massacred in a fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court system. In fact, if the divorcing wife is a fluffy, the custody of the kids will go to the husband because he has the money. I was hoping that this student magazine would launch masculism in my new, actually my first, country that I've not lived in for half a century. I was hoping that I could take the printed article I wrote for the magazine to the broadcast media and bring masculist ideas to the masses, the millions. As you'll see, I was knocked back. So I'll have to try other student magazines at other universities and other ideas. The first email is my contact email to the male editor, trying to get him interested in the idea of publishing my article to introduce Melbourne University students to masculism. The second is his reply, delayed by some weeks. And the third is my parting shot to him, warning him not to have kids, otherwise he'll be playing Russian roulette with only 4 chambers in the barrel. I hope this exchange, which is blunt and honest, will be useful to other young male feminists who know nothing about masculism. Maybe this exchange may lift the curtain just a little bit. 1. Contact email from Prof. Hugo de Garis to the editor. Dear XXX, I asked YYY to talk with you about the possibility of publishing an article introducing masculism to Australia, an opportunity for you to make a bit of history by being the first to launch such a consciousness that, as far as I can make out, does not exist yet in Oz. That's short for Australia. She gave me a false email address. I grew up in Oz, spent 5 years at MU, that's Melbourne University, but have lived half a century in 6 other countries, so I'm obviously a foreigner here now that I've returned, largely due to Oz's generous pension conditions. I'm starting to get the feeling that there's a strong feminist ethic in your magazine, which thinks that gender oppression of one gender by the other is a one-way street. Since I'm a masculist, I know that is not the case. I'll try to make a personal appeal to you. Let's assume you want to marry and have kids. If you become a father, you will then subject yourself to a 1 in 4 chance of being financially massacred and having your life ruined in a fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court system, which will strip you of your kids with a 90% probability in many Western countries. Who will go to your ex? You will lose half your stuff to her. You will lose your house to her so she can raise her kids in it. You will pay child support to kids you will barely see. If your ex is a real fluffy, and in brackets, a traditional woman who expects to be able to parasite off the money of a man by not bothering to get a career-competent education to become a FIP, that's financially independent person, as an adult, then you may have to pay her alimony for life, with no legal nor moral obligation on her to get off her fat parasitic ass and FIP up so she can continue to parasite off your money after the divorce the way she did before the divorce. Does it piss you off that women have a MARA, that's maternity rejection right, aka, also known as abortion right, the right to reject an unwanted pregnancy, close brackets, but men have no PARA, the most blatant form of discrimination that exists, and not against women, but against men? I hope the above is enough to pique your curiosity, and that you'll be motivated to read the 2 attachments below to give you a fuller impression of what masculism is about. If you then become convinced that the paternity rejection by the MGTOW, men going their own way, who refuse to marry, refuse to have kids, and spend their money on themselves due to the toxicity of the divorce courts for men, is pretty much the dominant issue of our historical era, given that if 2/3 of young men continue to reject paternity, as they are currently doing in many countries, then we wipe ourselves out in a mere century. Am I beginning to impinge on your sense of urgency? Question mark. If you want to listen to YouTube videos on the MGTOW movement, try Sandman, S-A-N-D-M-A-N, or TFM, that's Turd Flinging Monkey. If you want to know more about masculinist ideas, you can watch my 300 plus YouTube videos. See the links below. I appeal to your sense of ambition. You could be the first to launch masculinist consciousness in Australia. However, if you choose to take a male feminist stance and reject my appeal, then you might be kicking yourself in 6 months as you, hopefully, see masculinist ideas propagating wildly through the broadcast media. I've done this before in Western Europe with about 150 appearances in 7 countries in 4 languages. I feel confident it's only a question of time before the media starts biting, and then once a few such masculinist stories have been launched, the flood tide opens and the journalists stampede into a hot new area, a big one, the story of the other half. That is, men's story. Here are the links. Masculism, profhugodegaris.wordpress.com, in brackets, 300 YouTube videos / essays on masculism. And for MGTOW, youtube.com/user/Sandman, MGTOW, that's all one word, capital S-A-N-D-M-A-N, capital M, capital G, capital T, capital O, capital W, /videos, question mark, app, that's APP, equals desktop. And there's another one for TFM, but it's too long and just a whole bunch of letters. So go to the text to find it if you want to click on it. Have a look at my Masculist MGTOW flyers, numbers 295 and 296 if you're interested. I ask you to publish number 295. 296 is aimed at the print media in Melbourne, concerned with Wesley College's request to the Victorian Government. Victoria is a state of Australia, in the southeast part of the country. Concerned with Wesley College's request to the Victorian Government to legally discriminate against boys by obtaining a girl quota. Science shows that boys are genetically smarter than girls, 4 IQ point average superiority, 10% larger IQ variance, higher testosterone levels, and 10% larger brains. So men have won 99% of the science Nobel Prizes, etc., etc. Cheers, Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. 2. The Male Feminist Campus Magazine Editor's reply. Hi Hugo. I'm sorry about the delay in getting back to you on this. Unfortunately, we are not interested in publishing your work on masculism for reasons given below. We are a student publication funded by students and published by the University of Melbourne Student Union. As such, we don't publish the work of non-students. Well, I guess that's fair enough. but why not have interesting articles from outside? That's me ad-libbing now. Even though I am a man, I believe many of the claims you make in your article are misleading, incorrect, and offensive. Furthermore, the form you have chosen, without any perceivable order to this glossary, alphabetical or otherwise, is repetitive and confusing. We are not interested in developing these pieces for publication or receiving further correspondence from you on this matter. Kind regards, XXX. 3. My parting shot to the editor. Dear XXX, thank you for replying. You had the courtesy at least to do that. Since I'm guessing you're a male feminist and not yet, question mark in brackets, a masculist, most such men would not have bothered. I won't try contacting any of your team again, so this will be my parting shot. I hope for your sake that you choose never to have kids, because if you do, you will be playing Russian roulette with your life, except that instead of there being 6 chambers in the barrel, there will be 4. That is, you will subject yourself to a risk of about 1 in 4 chances of being financially massacred in the fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court system. You will lose your kids with a 90% probability in many Western countries. I'm not so sure about Australia yet. I need to look into that ad-libbing. You will hand over half your stuff to your fluffy ex-wife. You will be forced to give her your house so that she can raise her kids in it. You will pay child support to kids you will barely see, and if your ex-wife is a real fluffy, you may have to pay her alimony for the rest of her life, so that she continues to parasite off you after the divorce the way she did before the divorce, with no moral nor legal obligation on her to get off her parasitic ass and fit up, that has become a financially independent person. Think hard about this, because it's much better for you to learn the quick, smart way, that's in parentheses, by learning from the mistakes of older men, than the slow, dumb way, by becoming a victim of the fluffy feminists yourself. These hated, that is by the masculists, fluffy feminist hypocrites, in brackets, who want equal rights with men, and I have no problem with that, but reject accepting equal obligations with men, that is, bothering to get a career-competent education that will allow them to become FIPs as adults and not have to parasite off the labour of a man. Close brackets. It's largely due to the hypocrisy of the fluffy feminists that the MGTOW movement, that's men going their own way, who refuse to marry, refuse to have kids and spend their money on themselves, was started. This paternity rejection is wiping out whole populations, but the MGTOWs are merely reacting against the toxicity of the divorce courts for men. So it is the fluffy feminists who are the indirect genociders, wiping out whole populations due to their callousness of men. Don't become a victim yourself. Go MGTOW. Yes, masculists are extremely offensive towards fluffies and fluffy feminists. They are our enemy, whom we plan to wipe out by killing them slowly, by refusing to have anything to do with them, not even pumping and dumping them, forcing them to die slowly, rotting on the shelf, to extinction. We see such women as immoral, parasitic, man-slaving vermin. So you got that right. I will make a video of your reply and my reply to your reply, so that other men around the world can learn from this exchange. And lastly, you have passed up the opportunity to have played a historic role in bringing angry masculism to Australia. Its message is so important that it's only a question of time before the broadcast media takes it up. But that flag bearer will not be you. Later in life, when you are sympathetic to masculist ideas, you may bitterly regret this decision you made early in your adulthood. But despite your rejection, thanks for the reply. That shows you have a civilized mind. Good luck with your literary career. Usually editors of student magazines do well. Cheers, Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. In brackets, contains links to 300 YouTube masculist essays/videos. Well, that's it. Ciao.